All right, thanks for tuning in to another edition of the Prime Sports Horse Report on the Prime Sports Radio Network. As I welcome John Hardoon to the show from thesheets.com. And John, it's been over a month or so since our last conversation, but it's 2020 and we're doing video shows. So how about that?
How about that? You know what I miss? I miss that background music, our bumper music.
I know. What can I do? I'll make a return on those in the future because I miss it too. Okay, so we've got Gulfstream Park, two races at Gulfstream Park to talk about. And would this be considered, as far as Gulfstream is concerned, like the biggest card of their meet?
No, it was. It's the Pegasus, and the race was 9 million or 12 million, but they lowered it actually to 3 million. And they had two races. They have a grass Pegasus race and a dirt Pegasus race. They used to have to pay $1 million to get into the race. That all changed, and they lowered the purse, and they invited people, and you no longer have to put money up to get into the race. So it doesn't have quite the prestigious thing that it used to have, but it's still a big race, obviously. The problem is that they have the Dubai races coming up in about a month or so. And, there's no Lasix allowed in either of these races. So both of these races, horses will be running without Lasix, some of them for the first time. And, that's the difference.
Okay. All right. And as far now, Florida Derby, of course, that's when we talk about the big
Derby, the Fountain of Youth, the Florida Derby. Those are the big races.
Yeah, those are, and we still 2 months away before we get to those races, right?
Correct.
All right. So, but at this time of year, this is the biggest race for Gulfstream Park. Don't forget you're on TV, John. Biggest
race.
You're getting used to this. Don't worry about it. But this is the best time of year for Gulfstream. At least between now and March.
Now in the Florida Derby and the
okay.
Fountain Youth, no question about it.
How's the weather down in Florida? Do you know?
It's cool. It's cool actually. They took the races off the grass the last couple of days. It must have rained at night. And then, the weather was clear, though. But the last two days, they were off the turf, but they were back on tomorrow for sure.
All right, now let's go over race 11. This is the turf race, the Pegasus World Cup Turf Invitational. It's a mile 3/16. And as far as this race is concerned, there's a big difference between this one and race 12, and that would have been a horse that is now scratched. So really, the 12th race, which we'll get into in a little bit, that would have been the top race of the two. But what I want to do is see what we were going.
It still is the top race of the two as far as horses are concerned. The purse is bigger.
Well,
this is $1 million. The next race is $3 million. So the purse is bigger in the 12th race.
Well, on one hand, when I was going to prep when I was prepping for the show earlier today, I was saying, okay, well, we're going to do a daily double, especially because Omaha Beach would be in the second race. But now that Omaha Beach is scratched from the second race of the show here today, which is race 12, that does open it more as far as pay at the window. So that's a good thing, right?
It makes it a good betting race. With Omaha Beach in the race, and he would have been odds on. With him out of the race, from a betting point of view, it's a much better race to bet because with Omaha Beach in the race, you may not have even wanted to bet it. He was going to be the prohibitive favorite, and in all honesty, the most likely winner of the race. So it's a good thing he's out from a betting point of view. However, if you're a fan of the sport, listen, this horse was going to be the favorite in the Derby, and he scratched it 2 days before the Derby, and now he was forced to scratch again 2 days before the Pegasus. But this time he's retired, and we're not going to see him run anymore.
All right.
He had makings of a hairline fracture or something, so they didn't want to take a chance, so they scratched him.
All right. Well, then again, the whole idea of how much more valuable the double would have been. So now we can concentrate more on the 12 a little bit later on because the odds will open up. So let's talk about the 11 first of all, and let's talk about a couple of horses here. Because actually, if you take a look at it, the first really the first 5 or 6 horses are where you got the better horses in this race. The ones that stick out for me, let's first of all talk about. I want to talk about the 2 Arklow. Arklow was 6-1, and I noticed here on the sheets that over the last 5 or 6 races, he's improved just about each race. Before the previous one. Now the Breeders' Cup Turf race was an 8th place finish, but he did have a 5 on the sheet. So 6-1. You got Cox as the trainer. What about that horse?
Well, he certainly has a shot. The truth of the matter is that this race is really a very evenly matched group of horses. Everyone runs basically between a 6 and an 8 on the sheets. I mean, you have a couple of horses that are a little slower that have no chance, like Henley's Joy and some other ones, and maybe even Instilled Regard, a Chad Brown horse. Whenever you can throw Chad Brown horses out, that's a good thing. But for the most part, everyone runs really between a 6 and an 8, and the idea is to try to find a horse, first of all, that can go a mile and 3/16. And Arklow does fit that bill. He could certainly run all day. He's coming out of 1.5-mile races. He's 1 for 2 at the distance. He's never run at Gulfstream, though, so that's a little concerning to me. But listen, Brad Cox, terrific trainer, obviously has a chance. Again, you can make a case for a lot of horses in here. The horse which I like best in the race was Channel Cat, the number 5 horse. He's listed at 10-1 on the morning line.
Okay, why?
He's a little similar to your horse. He's getting good, Not often horses get good at 5 and 6, but this horse's last 2 races, both of them were 6s. His last race was run at Gulfstream.
Well, talk about that for somebody who might be new to the sheets, and when you take a look at the what do you call this now? The post positions.
Right.
Again, I'm so used to calling the sheets now. I even forget what the old school. What are these? What do they call these? Charts, sheets? I mean, not sheets.
Post positions, racing form.
Yeah,
the sheets themselves.
Yeah, the racing form. That's the way to do it. So
yeah,
that's the old school term that I just don't use anymore because I'm so used to saying sheets. Okay, so let's take a look at the racing form and the sheets now. If I'm new to the sheets, I'm going, okay, wow, 6 I really like. I see the 2 6s. I see the 6 at the Breeders' Cup Turf race. Now, I also see that this horse finished 7th in the Breeders' Cup Turf race, and he was never anywhere closer than when he started. So explain how the person that is interpreting the 6, when he sees the racing form that shows nothing.
That's exactly why you buy sheets and pay $30 for sheets as opposed to $5 for a racing form. Maybe it's $10 now. But listen, I look at the numbers. The numbers are right. And if you look at that race at Santa Anita in the Breeders' Cup, he finished 7th, but he only finished 7th by 2 lengths. So obviously it was a blanket finish. And there were probably a lot of horses within a couple of lengths of each other.
Yep.
And that's what happened in that race. If you look at the next race, the Gulfstream race, he finished 3rd by 3/4 of a length. Third by 3/4 of a length. So he's always in the picture. He always tries, and he always fires, a good shot. Again, it's Pletcher, who's winning at 26% this meet so far at Gulfstream, which is very good. Again, you can make a case for a lot of horses here. I ended up on the 5 because, first of all, I liked the odds. He was 10-1. I looked at your horse for a while, but he was only 6-1 Arklow. So why not go with a 10-1 shot if you like him as much as a 6-1 shot? Another horse, by the way, that has a shot in here is the 1, and he's 12-1. That's Zulu Alpha. Horses like the 1, the 2, even the 5, they're drawn inside. You always want to try to be as close to the inside as possible, because the shortest way home is saving ground and being inside. When you're stuck outside, you have to run 2 and 3 points faster than these horses to beat them, and that's just not going to happen.
Well, when are the bad races that you don't want to be caught inside with the 1 or the 2, especially with the 1?
Yeah, like 7 furlongs. When there's a
shorter the distances.
No, you always really want to be inside if you can. The only time I would avoid the rail would be at 7 furlongs or a mile at tracks that only run those races around one turn. There are tracks like Santa Anita that run a mile and it's two turns. Well, then you want to be inside.
Okay.
But when it's a one-turn mile, I don't want to get people too confused here,
That's
but
okay.
certain tracks distances are not always run. The track, the layout is not always the same.
All right. So the one is
Gulfstream, Aqueduct, Belmont. Those races they're bigger tracks. So a mile, it's just the one turn. You start on the backside, back in a chute, and it's once around. So
okay.
yeah, you don't want to be inside because the track is banked, and it's a disadvantage to be stuck inside when you're running that flat mile or 7 furlongs. But at this distance, you would like to be inside.
All right.
Or as close to the rail as possible.
Now, those two horses that you Channel Cat is also 5 out of 6 at Gulfstream, and Zulu Alpha has got 2 wins in 3 races at Gulfstream. There are a couple other horses I wanted to ask you about. What about the 4 Sadler's Joy? You just take a look at Sadler's Joy, the sheets over the last couple of years, very consistent. That's something that not a lot of horses in this field today can claim, the consistency of Sadler's Joy, who also is 3 out of 4 at Gulfstream Park.
Okay, but if you look at Sadler's Joy, who, by the way, is 8-1 morning line, but probably will go off a lot shorter, because if you look at the racing form or whatever you look at, you see last time out he went off 6-5. The time before that, 5-2. He seems to always take a lot of money at the windows. Problem with this horse is he's steady and consistent, but he's a little slower than the 5. The 5 has 6s. This horse hasn't run a 6 in 2 years. He's now 7 years old. You don't get better when you're 7, You kind of tail off a little bit, but not impossible. Certainly has a shot. But again, that's what I was telling you, that you can make a case for so many horses in here.
And that's our job.
There's a long-priced horse in here, which I certainly would tell people to maybe include in there.
Well, I'm going to say it. Oh, wait. The horse that I was going to ask you about, that is a high-priced horse, was going to be the 7.
Bullseye. Bingo. You hit it. He's getting Flavian Pratt, who's probably the best rider in California, and he's on a 30-1 shot. I mean, this horse has numbers that are not far off, and this is a horse that just turned 5. 3 out of his last 5 races are 7s on the sheets,
And he's improved over his last 3 races.
Exactly. And what's best about him is 30-1.
Yes.
So betting tries and supers, he's probably not good enough to win, but he certainly could get a piece, and it's horses like this that make tries and supers pay something. So.
Okay, so and now one of the favorites of this race, actually there's a couple. You got the 10 and the 12. Now the 12, this is a horse that doesn't race in the States very often.
No, he doesn't.
And he's only got 3 wins in 22 races.
Yeah, but he's also earned $4 million, so you can look at it that way too. Listen, you can't bet the 12 at a short price. No way, no how.
Yeah, that's the point.
And win, of course he could win.
Yeah.
But I don't like this horse at all.
Yeah, that's. And also when you take a look at the numbers too, the sheet number, the best he's ever run is 7.
Right, and he's breaking from the 12 post, so he's going to have to run a 3 or 4 to beat those inside horses. And the other short price horse in the race, Mo Forza, is coming off of a big top last time out. And we don't like to play horses off of big races. We look for them to react, unless they're a price. This horse won 4 races in a row coming into this race, so he's surely going to take a lot of money. I would play this horse to bounce, though, off of that 4. And if he does, all he has are 8s previous to that. So
what number? I mean, when you look at a horse that's won 4 straight, coming off of 4, and it's been a couple of months. I mean, a month. It's been almost, 5 weeks since you ran the 4. Is there a number where you go, okay, that's not a bad price? Would it be 5-1, 6-1, 7-1?
Yeah, if you really got 5-1 on this horse, I would certainly use him.
Okay.
But if you cover up that 4, he's not faster than the other horses that we like that were all drawn inside.
Absolutely. And okay, and let's see if there's any other horses here. I think.
By the way, as a general rule, people that are playing horses, you should always look for a reason, to avoid playing short-priced horses. and you have a reason. Mo Force is going to be a short price, and he ran the best race of his life last time out, and he really figures to react off of that race. And listen, he's got 9 starts, 4 wins, 3 seconds, and a third. So he's hit the board 8 out of 9 times.
Yes.
So obviously he's a good horse. However, price. The name of the game is price. You have to go for value. You have to look for prices if you want to make money in this game. You could always win a race with a short price horse, but there's no edge in doing that. You're better off looking for prices. There are times when short price horses, look like they're going to win or can't lose. Well, if that's the case, you either take the short price or you pass the race.
And
that's the general rule.
Last horse before I let you go, just won at Gulfstream last time out. The Instilled Regard, the 10-1 shot, the 6. So at least he's got a win. It was his last start, and there is a chance we could see him going out again and giving us an all-time best, isn't there?
Of course, you have Chad Brown, but this is a 5-year-old now. So again, horses don't really improve when they get over 5. When they get to 5 like that, their best years usually are 4 and 5. Listen, the horse definitely has a shot. I happen to like other horses because I know in my heart that every horse that Chad Brown sends out gets overbet because of the trainer.
Okay, but Channel Cat's your top pick, the 5.
Yeah, I like the 5 with the 1 and 2.
With the 1 and the 2.
Alpha and Arklow.
All right, 5, 1.
Of course, Mission Office. 5 with 1, 2, 7.
All right. Oh, and then 7 at the end. Okay, let's go ahead with the top race, and that's the one without the turf in it. It is the Pegasus World Cup Invitational. This is race 12, mile and an eighth. And again, as we said at the beginning, we have no Omaha Beach, so that opens up the pricing. So let's take a look here at the first few horses. Tax is a horse that we've talked about before on the show because he ran in the Triple Crown races. He's also been pretty good lately. He's got a 6.75 in his last 3 races. He's 8-1. The numbers, of course, are all going to go lower with Omaha Beach out of here. But what about Tax?
Tax is my top pick. I like the development on this horse. He's just newly turned 4, and he's getting better with each race. And he's drawn inside, going 2 turns, which is certainly a plus, and the trainer's been on fire. I think he's like 6 for 15 at the meet. He's hitting at a high rate. He's getting Jose Ortiz today. You can't go wrong with that. And again, this is my top pick. Obviously, we'll get less than the 8-1 because Omaha Beach is out, but I certainly would expect in the vicinity of 5-1, and I think that's a fair price on this horse.
All right, the other 2 horses that are surrounding Tax. The 1 is coming off of 4. His last time out, the 15-1 shot. The other 15-1 shot, the 3, has run a 5 and a 4 in 2 of his last 3 dirt races. They're both 15-1. Who do you like better out of those 2?
I really don't like either one of them. I expect True Timber to bounce and react off of that 4. If you see last year, he ran a 3, and off of the 3, he bounced to a 12. He never really puts 2 good races together. That's his problem. And I don't think he's going to run, but he is 15-1. And again, I would never talk anyone off a 15-1 shot. And the same thing goes for Diamond Oops. The problem with Diamond Oops is he looks like he's a sprinter. I don't think he wants any part of a mile and an eighth. He's 5 years old, and he's yet to been the distance. He's 5 for 6 at Gulfstream. However, that's all sprint races. Now they're going a distance of ground.
All right. The 6 is 6-1, higher power. The last 3 races, he's been solid, a 7.85. He ran 3rd in the Breeders' Cup Classic.
He has a shot. He's going to, but remember, he was 6-1 before Omaha Beach was scratched. So I don't think he's as good as Tax, but if you're looking for exactness, he certainly has a shot.
What about War Story coming off a 6 at Gulfstream? It was a win. The distance was fine. He's a long shot.
The good thing about War Story is that he's 30-1. That's the only good news. But if you look at his sheet throughout his career, every time he runs a race, he reacts off of it. You see 4.29, 6.14. Well, he ran a 6 last time out. But again, he's 30-1 morning line. If you want to include him in your numbers somewhere on the bottom, I don't think he's good enough to beat Tax, but he does have a chance.
And you do have a trainer change, even though it's not statistically a trainer change that was better. But hey, went out 1. So
It did win, but listen, if George Navarro couldn't get the horses to put races together, I really doubt that Elizabeth Dolblaze is going to be able to do it. Not only that, the horse is now 8, so the older you get, the harder it is to do things, and I think he's up against it. Only good thing about him again, 30-1.
what about Mr. Freeze? Mr. Freeze is a nice price at 20-1. He's run a 5 and a 6 in 2 of his last 3 races. He's been in the money 4 straight races. He's been in the money 8 out of 10 in his career. Again, it's a big number, 20-1.
Yeah, he's 20-1, and he has a shot for sure off the numbers. The problem with this horse is the barn is 0 for the meat. They were 0 for 18 going into today, and they had a couple of losers as well. I usually like barns that show some life, and 0 for 18 or 0 for 20, not the best situation. But the horse off of numbers certainly does figure.
And what about could go off as the favorite now, Mucho Gusto, the Bob Baffert horse, who has run a 4 and has also a couple of 6s over his career, 3rd in the Travers. Will he be overpriced?
He's going to be overbet because it's Bob
Overbet.
Baffert. And you're right, he's probably going to go off the favorite. So as a favorite, I think you have much better options in here. Listen, it's Baffert. You always got to respect him. But at a short price, I think you want to play against him.
All right, so the horse that you're going to go with, though, is Tax. That's the 2. That also means that you're going to throw in a double 5-2.
Absolutely. Well, you know what? I may use the 1, 2, and whoever the horses were in the last race, all into the Tax.
So Tax is the one. Yeah, Tax is your. And what do you think Tax will go off at?
Tax will probably go off at 5-1 or like 4 or 5-1.
Where do you not want to see Tax go off at? That could happen.
Under 4-1, I have no interest in
All right,
Tax.
4-1's the limit. 4-1's where you draw the line.
Cutoff point. Correct.
Who else do you like? Anyone else besides Tax?
Higher Power, I give a shot to. Again, War Story at the price, and that's about
Higher
it.
Power. What number was that?
The 6.
All right, 2,
Yeah.
6.
2 was 6, 7, 8.
2, 6, 7, 8. All right, excellent. And then what's after this? What's coming up over the next couple of weeks before I let you go, John?
Let me ask
Stakes
my assistant.
racing.
Any big races coming up, assistant? I'm asking my son. He's my assistant. I don't know. We'll be in touch. There's always something.
Well, what is
coming.
going on right now at this time of year? What's happening?
Santa Anita, Gulfstream, Oaklawn just opened. There's going to be some big races there.
Okay.
That's in Arkansas.
All right, sounds good. Well, we'll talk some more. We'll definitely talk a lot more now that it's 2020 and we've got the video up and we're big shots now. But
And I have to remember I'm on the camera, so I can't watch races and root for horses.
no, you can. It would be actually a lot more interesting if you can keep doing that. I'd appreciate it.
All right, buddy.
Just make sure
thank
you win when you're doing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks, John.
Greg.
Take
Be
care.
well.